Welcome to First Response, a project of the Alcohol and Drug Addiction Services Board of Lorain County. I'm Craig Adams. Our guest today is Illyria Police Chief Dwayne Whiteley. Chief, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to talk a little bit about opioids and maybe from a couple different perspectives. First of all, can you give us kind of a bird's eye view of what it's like here in Illyria?
Well, in Illyria, going back to around 2012, we saw a sharp increase every year. This year we're at a little bit of a decrease from last year, but we're still above the numbers from 2012 and 13. And those numbers can change at any time. It is a problem. We've been fighting it multiple ways. Clearly through the series of raids we've done over the last couple of years, you can see that we're going after the drug dealers. But we realize we're not going to win this war by arresting our way out of it. We need to attack in other ways. That includes finding help for people who have a problem, and simple things like we're talking about today, what to do with medication that you have that you can't get rid of, and other things like that.
What are the sources of these drugs in the county, in Illyria?
The sources, well, they come from outside the county, and they're brought in by dealers. Where we run into some other issues that we deal with on a daily basis is how do people get hooked to begin with. And the national statistics show that 4 out of 5 people who become hooked on heroin and opioids are done through prescription medication. That could be through an injury or surgery that they have and they're prescribed it, or it could be something simple where they go in the medicine cabinet of a family member or a friend and just take it out of the medicine cabinet. So a lot get hooked that way too.
And then I imagine once they are hooked, they need to get those drugs from somewhere.
Yes.
And they look outside, perhaps the family, outside the home.
Yes, they find that it's cheaper to go towards heroin and some other illicit drugs than it is to try to keep up with the pills that they're getting through prescriptions.
Let's talk about those prescriptions for a bit. As you mentioned, sometimes they do fall into the wrong hands, but now we have something called prescription drug boxes. What are those?
We have a drug take-back box at every police department in the county, in the sheriff's department. They're in the front lobby. All you have to do is bring in a baggie with your unused medications, take them out of the bottle. If you have a bottle, take the labels off. And you come in and you put the whole bag right into the drug box. From that point, we will make sure it's emptied, put in the evidence, and then a couple times a year, the Lorain County Sheriff's Drug Task Force, along with the DEA, they do drug take-back days. They take all the medication that was gathered through the year and at those days, and they dispose of them properly so they don't get into the water system, which is another problem we have when people just flush them down the toilets.
Are people hesitant, though, to bring them to a police department?
Some are, but by and large, it's been my experience that they just aren't aware that those are there. If they did, they do it on a more regular basis. And it is becoming more and more known to the public because the amounts that we're getting is increasing every year. We want them to increase a lot.
You also mentioned you don't want people flushing those medications down the toilet or down the sink. Obviously, you don't want them thrown in the trash because they could cause problems down the line.
Yes, even if it's thrown in the trash, eventually it'll make its way into the water that we drink. We brush our teeth, all that, and it cannot be filtered out through treatment plants. It gets through everything they have, every filter. So over time, all those medications will affect the population unknowingly.
One of the new drop boxes is at the Cleveland Clinic Ambulatory Pharmacy in Avon.
Yes.
Tell us about that one.
Well, the Cleveland Clinic has decided to be a part of this. I would say a natural thought for people is, what do I do with medication? Well, I'll take it back to the doctors or the hospital. They got to do something. So they set up a box for this. And it's just another quick avenue. If you're nearby, you just go in, drop them off, and the easier we can make this, the better it is for the people who want to get rid of the drugs properly.
Also today, we see on the table These are disposable pill pouches.
Yes.
What are these and how do they work?
Well, if you cannot make it up to any of the police departments or the Cleveland Clinic in Avon to drop them off, you can buy these, and mostly at the pharmacies. And what it does is you open up, you follow the directions, and it contains the certain chemicals inside, and plus the water that you put in, and it neutralizes the drug. You seal it up and you throw it in the trash, and then it gets, but it's sealed, so it doesn't affect the water system.
This is something new?
It is. At least it's new to me.
I've never seen such a thing either.
Yeah.
So it is easy to use.
Very easy to use.
And they're affordable.
They're affordable.
Yeah. And that way you keep them out of the trash and out of the water supply.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Anything else about opioids or any advice for anybody dealing with the issue for today's program?
Well, there are multiple things that people can do. First, don't just be open to opioids being prescribed to you. Question, do I really need this? I've heard several people tell me, including orthodontists, oral surgeons, that a lot of this starts with wisdom teeth coming out. Do you really need opioids for wisdom teeth? Maybe on a rare occasion when they're impacted and everything, but you know, when I went through it, I got Tylenol and I was fine. So question that. Be open and front with your family members. Talk to them about it. Don't be afraid to bring the issue up. I mean, quite frankly, it could save their life if they understand the impact, because quite often, especially with children, they have no idea what the consequences are for even taking one. They're just taking it because they thought it was cool. They heard it was cool. And anything you can do in that route would be helpful. If somebody you know is already addicted, there are many services out there that can help with that. As you said, the ADAS board is one of them, but there's many out there. If you need help, you can come to the police station and tell us, I need help, and we'll help you get contact with the agencies to help you. We're not just out there to arrest everybody. We want to solve the problem. And if we can solve the addictions, that's solving the problem.
And that's solving many other related problems.
Many crime-related problems.
Along the way.
Yes.
Yeah. Our guest today has been Illyria Police Chief Dwayne Whiteley. I'm Craig Adams, and this has been First Response, a project of the Alcohol and Drug Addiction Services Board.